So hello again, boys and girls. Your old buddy Sword here again. What the devil's going on here, you might want to ask. Oh no, she's up on the jack stands again. What could be going on now? Well, I'll tell you. The old clutch in this thing finally gave up the ghost on me. So, time for a new clutch. And as it always happens with me, everything else went flew at the same time. Not the stuff I worked on before, but the clutch master cylinder, the one that's mounted to the flywheel, and the clutch slave cylinder. Seals in both of them just went at the same time. Can you imagine that? I've never heard of such a thing, but here we go. I've already got them out. So let's have a look at this. Some of my parts. And there's the slave cylinder down here. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but give me a second. See, there's the piston right there. And you can see it's got the lip on the one closest to the down side, but the lip is totally gone on the upper one. Just crazy. So we're going to just rebuild this, and we're going to rebuild clutch master cylinder too. Pedal had no resistance at all trying to work it. Truck either stuck in gear or can't get in gear without grinding it. Also, apparently the throwout bearing went at the same time, because I got up under here, and just in case you don't know how this works, I'll give you the short, sweet, simple explanation. Let's see. Move up here a little bit. There we go. And you see that part right here? Right there, that's the fork. Throwout bearing sits on that inside of the bell housing of the transmission. Slave cylinder bolts up to those two holes. It pushes that fork arm back. I try to get a hand on it and push it. I can't even move the darn thing. It's not supposed to be like that. So it's either stuck on the pivot or the throwout bearing is stuck on the shaft. I don't know what's going on, but it's definitely not good. So we're going to rebuild that. We're going to rebuild the other cylinder. There's a flex line up here for the clutch pipe. We're going to replace that with a new one. I'm currently draining the transmission out, which sucks because I just put all brand new 80W90 weight oil in there not a year and a half ago. Another 18 bucks. Puh. And it looks like the tail shaft seal is leaking. I did replace that when I did the U-joints on this thing. Apparently I didn't do it right. Still leaking a little bit. Got a new O-ring seal for the speedo cable on the other side. But oh man, this is going to be a headache. And yeah, I got a clutch kit coming. All brand new. Pressure plate and clutch disc and throwout bearing and pilot bearing and an alignment tool and all new clips. And 6 new bolts for the flywheel. Got a new flywheel coming, because I don't know how old the flywheel is on this thing. It could be original, could be like 40 some years old. So, it was only like $45, brand new. So it's going to put a whole new flywheel in it. Nice and clean, no scores, no cracks, no heat spots, no problem. I'm going to try to record as much of this as I can. Give you some idea what's going on. So, hang on, stand by, hang with me. Alrighty then, so here we are, under the truck. Don't mind the blue paint, it's just to match up the parts so we can put them back together in the right position, so I don't get any out of balance stuff. A little bit more up here. So basically what we need to do, take those 4 bolts out, disconnect the back shaft from the differential. And by the way, this is a 2-piece shaft. All 75 and 78 pickups, Hiluxes have them. I'll show you in a minute. So we get those 4 out. Those should be 12s. They're easy. I did them before when I replaced these U-joints. Then it just goes flange to flange, easy. Come on up here. And same thing, we got flange to flange. 4 bolts with nuts, U-joint. Here's your carrier bearing. It sits on this cross member here, which is welded to the truck frame rails. You cannot remove this. So, undo the 4 in the back, 4 here. This comes off, swings out of the way. That'll just leave the flange. Inside this flange going into this carrier bearing, there's a nut that holds this piece on. It's splined onto the back end of the shaft. This back of this shaft has splines on it. There's no need to take this apart. Just need to get up in these holes, and there's some 12mm bolts that hold the carrier bearing to this cross member. So we'll take these 2 bolts out right here. Excuse me. And then we'll come up front, and here's where it starts to get a little more complicated. Now, I've drained the transmission because this yoke has a spline end on it that goes into the end of the transmission. If you don't drain the fluid out and you take this out, it's going to pour all over the place. So that's why I had to drain it. But once this carrier bearing's unbolted, should be able to just pop this straight back. There's nothing to unbolt up here. You don't have to fool with the U-joint or anything. Makes it easy. Now we get a little more complicated. Here's your transmission. There's the back end of it. Right here is your transmission mount. I don't know if you can see that very well, but there's 4 bolts that hold it. It's 2 on each side right here. Don't fool with these. They're a pain. You'll drive yourself crazy trying to get this done. What I'm going to have to do is go over here. 6 bolts aside. 1 there, 1 side there. Missing 1 bolt. But take those bolts out and unbolt the cross member. I'm going to take these 4 out first because that holds the tranny mount to this cross member. Before you start undoing these cross member bolts, be wise to get a jack under here, under this transmission, to give it some support. Because this is holding the back end of the transmission up, and since the transmission is bolted to the back of the engine, it's also acting as a 3rd motor mount. Yes, I said a 3rd motor mount. Slide up here. I don't know if you can see that very well, but right there, there's 1 motor mount, and there's 1 on the other side. There we go. And that's kind of at the front of the engine, as you can see. This transmission bolted to the back of the engine basically acts like an extension of the engine. So that's why this is a 3rd motor mount. If you don't support this, this back end of this transmission will sag and pull down. It will pull the back of the motor down. If your motor mounts are bad, it could actually push your fan into your radiator. It can bend your throttle linkage. It can do all kinds of wonderful damage up there, so you don't want to do that. I plan on getting up here and getting another jack up in here to hold the back of the engine up so it doesn't droop, because eventually I got to take this transmission off of here and there'll be nothing holding this back of this engine up. So I got a piece of wood in here right now, just temporary. What I'm probably also, instead of doing that, because it might be difficult because this cross link for the steering is in the way. Sorry if I make you get dizzy, but I'm upside down too. So we're in the same boat. We're under the same truck. Whatever. Get to it. So get a little jack and get a piece of wood up under the oil pan and just jack it up here and give it some support. That should be more than enough. The manuals say drain the coolant system, take off the upper hose. Oh geez, I don't need to do that. You really don't. Might could actually even get a 2x4 up in here so I can avoid the drain plug. Give it that some support. This is pretty solid, so if I get a jack up in there and just get a little bit of pressure on it, it should keep it right in place. Other than that, there's 8 bolts that hold the transmission to the engine. For some reason, on other Toyotas, it shows the bolts going this way. Bolt head towards the transmission, thread part towards the engine, but for some reason this one's the other way around. I suspect this has been out before. It's only 40 years old. I mean, well, why would I suspect that? In any case, they're a mixture of 14mm, and there's a couple 17mm, and there's 2 up top, which are facing into the engine compartment, which will actually make it easier. Some of the later Toyotas, like 83, 84 on up, the bolts are actually in the back, and you actually do need to let this drop down so you can actually get some room to get up in there to get those bolts. I'm going to have to put you up here so you can actually see anything. Can you see anything up there? Let me know. No? Okay. So they're up there. And usually the bolt heads are back towards the transmission side. This is the other way around. It's probably going to be easier for me. No problem. But you've got, hang on, you got a plate here with a bolt holding it, and that holds this bent part and this clamp, which holds the exhaust pipe in place. You could just take the clamp off, but since you got to take the bolt out anyway, not a big deal. I'll probably do them both just to get this thing out of the way, because I really don't want to mess with this exhaust again after the last thing I went through. You've got 2 bolts. We actually have a bolt and a nut holding your starter in. Where's my rag? There we go. This is the feed line for the clutch. Master slave cylinder that goes here. Here's that fork I was telling you about. See, it's supposed to push back this way. And that is stuck. Big time. See me missing a bolt here. That's interesting. Lovely. So there's a nut here, or a bolt here, and a nut on top. Holds the starter on. You take the starter off. You can just bring it back away from the bell housing, bungee it up so it doesn't go anywhere. If you want to disconnect the wires and take it all the way out, up to you. No big deal. But you just take the bolts out. Forgetting something, aren't I? Yes, I am. Let's see. Over here, these wires go on there. This is the reverse light switch. Mine's working. This has just little push-ons on it. You might have a different clip if you got a newer truck. It's all about the same anyway. Just disconnect this. If you got 4-wheel drive, you're going to have extra electrical connections to deal with, so just look for them. Slide back here a little bit. Right there. Something to point with. I don't know how good the light is, but we're going to try. This here, that's your speedo cable. Goes right in there. That's leaking a little bit too. I got an O-ring for that. I don't know how I'm going to get to that, but I guess once the cross member comes off, it'll be easier to get to. But that's going to come out of there. Otherwise, you're going to break your speedo cable, and that's no good. But that's about it on this one. Like I said, I've already got it drained. There's your fill plug right here. I'll refill it later once I get everything done. And I've already got the shifter out, of course. And I got new bushings coming for that. There's a seat bushing and a bushing that goes on the end of the shifter. Mine is just 4 bolts. The shifter pulls right out. No big deal. Fairly easy. So I'm going to get to this. Again, I'll try to record what I can. Stand by. Okie finokie. Back. So, here we go. 4 bolts, 4 nuts. You can use two 12mm wrenches, like that. I use a 12mm wrench and 12mm socket. Ding! Round one. Of course, I will fast forward through the obviously boring parts or non-instructive things, or just cut it. So, here we go. Holy smoke. And that's not going to work. I figured, don't it? That's not going to work either. No dice. Back in a minute. So, what I forgot was the last time I put these bolts back in when I did these U-joints is I put a little Loctite Blue thread locker on here because I didn't want them coming off. And I can't find the other 12mm box wrench, so that's no good. So, we're going to cheat. Hey, use them if you got them, you know. Yeah. And besides, is it really cheating? Just need to get the job done. So, noise alert. Oh, isn't that nice? There we go. Don't lose your washers and your hardware. One. There's two. Goodness. No washers here. Very strange. Oh no. Don't you do that. Come here, you. Get off of there. It's because the washers are on the other side. That's not where they belong. Wow, I put this back together wrong. Come on. Go. And of course it doesn't want to come off. That would figure, wouldn't it? Uh-huh. There we go. That's not good. Okay. So there's the drive shaft out. Got a little oil leakage back here. That's okay. So, onwards. Beautiful. Where's the other bolt? Right there. Loosen up a little bit first. There we go. See? Nice and loose. And I should be able to slide this out. Just like this. Beautiful. Well, that's heavy. See? There's the splined end. Let's see if we can get it. Hang on, guys. This is just unbelievably awkward. There we go. See, there's your splines right here. This is where the output shaft of the transmission goes into. I'm going to get a light and look at that. So, hang on, I'll be back. Alrighty. So, we've got our other jack up front with a 4x4 piece of wood under the oil pan. Just jack up just enough to put a little tension on it. That's about it. We've got our other jack back here, which again, just jack it up enough just to get a little tension on the transmission, just to hold it. Don't want to crank on it. I'm going to take those 4 bolts out of the cross member in the transmission mount. And then we're going to do the 6 over here and the 6 on the other side. I've already loosened them up a little bit to make it a little bit easier. Just so you know it's not, you know, anything fake going on here. Just the way you do it. So we'll get on this. Let's see if I can't keep y'all from dropping again. Stinker. Really, man? sometimes there's no room behind it, so I can't pry on it. See, I was trying to get a little angle on it, because if you just go straight like this and do whatever you can do, it just won't go. But if you put a little angle on it, sometimes you can get it to catch and back its way out. I know it's got to come out of there because I had it out before when I put this new mount in. Very strange. And of course you're not seeing much of that, are you? Of course I can't feel anything behind it, because they're blind holes. That's strange. Very strange. Oh, damn. Well, I'll keep working on it. Stand by. Okay, so we're kind of stuck for the moment. Man, oh man. Got the cross member bolts out, the 6 on each side. Got the 4 out of there on the transmission mount. Got the speedometer cable off. But we're having a bit of a problem. This is why we're stuck. The cross member won't clear the exhaust pipe. See, I can't do much with that. I'm about 1/8 of an inch away. It's hitting the transmission mount. Trying to get the transmission unbolted from this is going to be a bear, because I remember putting it in and it was a bear getting it in. So what's likely going to happen next is going to go up front, undo the bolt that holds the pipe clamp to the bell housing, and I may have to go up and undo the 3 nuts that are on the studs that connect the downpipe to the exhaust manifold, so at least I can get a little spring in this. Trying to do something with it back here, this hanger is a bear. I've messed with it before. It's just a pain in the butt. Another hanger back there on the muffler, again, just a pain in the butt. I don't have the proper tools to undo them. There's a specialty tool that makes it really easy. If we try and do it with anything else, you'll just be at it all day. I'm not going to bother. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. If I undo that, I should be able to spring that down about 1 inch or so, and that's all I need, because I mean, I don't know if you can see this. Here. Watch that spot right there. See, I only need about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch to get that clear, and then slide it back out of my way. So I think we're going to stop there. Oh my goodness, quite a job. It's not a difficult job, it's just physically a lot of work. And plus, you know, the little hang-ups here and there. Oh, the one bolt that was hung up in here, I don't know what the deal is, but I finally got it out. I just kept jacking the transmission up and down. I jacked the transmission up and put some pressure against the cross member on the bolt, and it finally came out for me. Just weird little things. So we're going to stop there. We'll do some more later. I'm going to break this up into parts. So stand by, stay tuned. Thanks for watching.